Welcome all. Thanks for joining this Tech Talk series episode number 2 of 2024. Today we're going to be discussing lift and shift migrations. I am Joe Rafanelli, Director of Technical Solutions here at Macrosoft. So at Microsoft is a customized software development shop. We specialize in migration services, old technology to new technology. We are the leading provider of professional technical, services in that space for VFP, ASP, and VB6 migrations. I have a super special guest here today. His name is Sandeep. He's our technical architect and responsible for delivering cost-effective IT solutions to our clients. I want to welcome Sandeep.
Hey, thanks you. Hello everyone. I work as a technical architect at Microsoft. I specialize in application modernization using cloud native services here. I have been with Microsoft for the past 8 plus years, and I was lucky to be a part of few challenging projects in this space. I hold certifications from major cloud service providers in the industry, including Amazon, AWS, and Microsoft Azure.
Thank you for that. And I know firsthand he does a great job. So, Sandeep, just to get started on the questions,
Yeah.
why don't we something basic, right? So, please explain lift and shift and the options.
All right, Joe, as you mentioned a little earlier, Microsoft specializes in migrating legacy applications using newer cloud native technologies, right? So, most of the legacy applications are desktop based, as you know, which were originally developed in legacy technologies like Visual Fox Pro or Visual Basic. The most common solution you can find in the market is to migrate it to new technology, but we do get customers who ask us not to migrate the entire application
Yeah.
but host the application in the cloud to web enable them. In fact, you're taking it to cloud and accessing it from a web browser, for example.
Right.
So one of the easiest and least expensive solution you find in this space is to take the workload, take your application as is, and run it on the cloud using the cloud native solutions available. So this is known as the lift and shift to cloud. Uh, Maybe we can discuss this process in detail with the help of a slideshow.
Makes sense.
Uh, Joe, you can bring the slide so that, yeah. As we talked about the lift and shift, this could be a perfect example where you can find on the left hand side, you can see the legacy application which is running on your computer, and the same if you shift to the cloud, it will run on a web browser, for example, right? So that's the simple way of explaining what is lift and shift to the cloud. And let's see the different options we have in this space, the different solutions that the third party offerings available in the market, right? The first one to consider would be AWS AppStream 2.0, which is a fully managed application streaming service that allows the users to stream the desktop application securely from cloud and to any device. That's the take here. You can access it from any device. You can actually uh, access your Windows application from your Mac device, for example. The second one in consideration would be Cybersoft Infinity Virtual UI. That's a customized offering from Cybersoft organization to web enable the desktop applications by adding a thin layer to the existing Windows application. Fox in Cloud is another offering from same kind of company. This there is a take here. This is to extend the lifespan of Visual Fox Pro applications. And TS Plus Remote Access is another solution which where you can take your Windows applications and remotely access it while ensuring the security, scalability, and compatibility. And the final option in consideration is the Azure Virtual Desktop, which is an offering from Microsoft, which is another comprehensive desktop app virtualization service provided by Microsoft Azure. Uh, at Microsoft, we prefer AppStream over the other solutions because it provides us a balance between the cost and the stability of the underlying infrastructure. Let's take a look at Microsoft solution, what we designed and what we have tried out in the recent past. All right, the solution, Joe, the solution you find here on the left hand side would be the AppStream service specific, and on the right hand side, what you see is the underlying components of it. For example, we use the AWS SSO to authenticate and authorize you with the help of Active Directory instance that you see on the right side, and you can use your EC2 system manager to spin up your images, while on the left hand side it is service specific, wherein your network shares will be stored in the FSX service. Your scale out fleet, and all that is carried out by the service. The AppStream, by the way, as we said, it's a managed service offering. So you get the stacks, fleet, and the running images all as a part of it. Uh, let's move on and see how the end user perspective of this particular application workflow is. As you see on the first diagram shows the user login to the AWS system, AWS SSO, where you see the next slide shows you the virtual stack, the AWS SSO stacks, wherein you can select your application stack and you can get to your application stack of the streaming apps. For example, if it is VFP app that you're taking to the cloud, you will see a list of VFP apps that the third diagram shows you there. And once you click on your desired app there, you will be presented with the particular VFP app on your web browser, wherein you can log in and work as usual. Uh,
Thank you so much. Yeah, for sharing those slides. A lot of times people say picture tells 1,000 words, so that does look very good. Kind of going through that.
you're right.
So yeah, a lot of folks ask us about benefits. So what are the key benefits and like some of the challenges of lift and shift?
Sure. Joe, as we saw on the earlier slides, there won't be much application level changes which are needed to if you take an application to the cloud, and workloads that demand advanced graphics can be directly moved because it is the cloud which is offering this solution. So we can have any instance type in the cloud, and the security and compliance management would be very relatively simple if you consider this kind of a solution. And the business processes associated with the app is not changed at all. So these are some of the benefits associated with this. And if you look at the challenges we have faced so far, that would be like complexity of the legacy systems will still apply. If you take the same app to the cloud, the complexity will remain the same, and there might be compatibility issues that could come across. And the risk of technical debt, for example, if you're moving to the cloud with the same old app, you need the same support persons. For example, I'm taking an example of which is Fox Pro. You need the same VFP guys to manage and rewrite or make any changes to your code level. So that's another thing.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I know when we're
Yeah,
going through COVID, folks were very big on lift and shift, right? So people can work from home easier. So that's another benefit that
you're right.
folks can use. But I appreciate you explaining that. All right. So another question is,
Yeah.
when we get these types of projects, right? Clients also ask, is it advisable to do a lift and shift? And when should they do that? So, I mean, I had a couple thoughts on it, but maybe you can give, your thoughts on, when is it's advisable?
Sure. That's a good question, by the way.
Yeah,
We often get this question from many customers.
yeah,
Uh, Lift and shift can actually serve you as a temporary migration strategy before you plan for a fully fledged migration to meet your, for example, to meet your immediate needs before you plan a full migration. You could consider this kind of a solution so that you can have a feel of running your application on the cloud, satisfying all your security and compliance requirements, and maybe you can go for a fully fledged migration effort in the near future. You can plan the timeline to be a year or so. So before you plan a fully fledged migration, I would say this is a good starting point.
makes sense. Maybe it's a good first step. Sometimes as clients
Yeah,
aren't ready for the whole thing to be migrated onto a more modern platform, and this is, like you said, it's a very good first step to
right.
getting there. You know what I mean? Okay, appreciate that. Another typical question we get is concerns the code modification. Is this required?
Uh, there might be very little changes
Okay.
required because you need to satisfy. If you're taking it to the cloud, there will be multiple accesses required. For example, if Joe is accessing the database at the same time, Sandeep needs access to it. So we would need to satisfy the multi-user
Okay.
accesses and data persistence requirements so that we need to enable some kind of the service in the backend to satisfy those needs. That might require little or minimal code changes to your
Okay.
old app. Yeah,
Okay.
very
That-
minimal, but
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm sure
yeah,
folks would like to hear that there's a minimal touch there in the back
correct,
end.
correct.
Okay. Again, just thinking of like some normal, typical questions we might get on something like this. What are
Mhm.
the security considerations, right, and compliance requirements? Anything you want to give us some thoughts on that when you're doing a lift and shift?
Uh, yeah, if you look at the platform we are migrating to, it is Amazon AWS in consideration. So,
Hmm.
AWS being a major provider, major cloud service provider, they satisfy all the security and compliance requirements on their end, and whatever you store onto the cloud is automatically getting all those compliance levels. For example, your HIPAA or PCI DSS, you're automatically getting the benefits of it. So
Okay. So it's going to be secure.
you're good from,
Client,
yeah, it's going to
client
be
shouldn't have to
secure.
worry about that part.
Yeah,
Okay. I'm sure that was important to folks. Okay. I got you warmed up with the questions. Let's see what we got from the audience. We'll wait a few seconds here for the chat questions.
sure, sure.
Okay, let me read this through here. How much is the solution going to cost on average? Okay, so I'm gonna take this one.
Okay.
Okay, so we've done extensive research, with some of the costs based on some of the designations. So specifically, as Sandeep said, we do AppStream. We like using AppStream the best for the reasons he had given. So we were looking at between 200 and 400 per month, but that's for 1 to 20 users, and that's the full solution. So again, we find that to be an average. And then there's a one-time, if we want to call it a migration cost to actually do the lift and shift. It's a fraction, obviously, of what a migration might cost, obviously, but there would be that cost to do that lift and shift. Hopefully, that's enough information for now. Thank you for that question. Okay, what's the next one we got here? All right, I don't see anything else here. All right, so I think I have something here. What are some typical what are some typical information needs, or what if clients need to consider, right, when planning for a lift and shift project?
Sure, Joe. Yeah, that's a good question, by the way.
Yeah.
We would need to consider the number of users
Okay.
that are going to stream the application, and how many instances of the applications are required. You need to define your scale in and scale out policies correctly on AWS. That's going to determine your cost as well, as you said, and the authentication mechanisms that are being used by the current application, whether it is local DB or is it SQL and things like that.
Okay. So
Yeah.
there's definitely some knowledge transfer there, obviously, before we before anything is done. That makes, perfect sense.
E- Correct.
Okay. Oh, okay. Another question came through. What's the downside of doing a lift and shift migration?
Yeah, this is somewhat of some sort of a difficult question to answer, but if you look at the application that is being migrated to the cloud or shifted to the cloud, uh, it is the same old application you're running on the cloud.
Yeah.
So you're not actually benefiting the power of the cloud there. You're not actually utilizing the newer services which are available out in the cloud, and there might be performance issues. For example, if you are on a slow internet connection, you might face some performance glitch while using this kind of a solution.
So folks should be aware of that. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
That totally makes sense. Okay, let's see if there's anything else here.
yeah, sure.
Okay. No more questions. So I want to thank Sandeep for his time because I know you got a lot of things going on. So I appreciate you sharing that knowledge on this very important subject. So folks that either didn't ask questions or have more would like to get with us about more information, more information about doing a migration or a lift and shift, you can give me a call or send us an email. It should come up in a second here. My contact information, and there you go. So there's a number and there's my email address, and yeah, we're here to help. If you have migration questions, if you want to just get a free quote, we can talk about it and we can take it from there. But for now, I want to thank everybody for joining. I want to thank Sandeep again, and we'll talk again soon. Thanks, folks.
Thank you,
Take
Joe.
care.
Thanks for having
Bye
me.
bye now.
Bye.
Absolutely.